Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatira Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Ravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Vishnuhad Paramahamsa Parivakacharya Stara Sadashi Srimad His Divine Grace Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Vedanta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya His Divine Grace Ace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mayapur Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Priyamadanga Book Distribution Ki Prashadam Distribution Ki Yuga Vedandam Ki Jai Gaur Premanande All glories to some devotees Hare Krishna All glories to some devotees Hare Krishna All glories to some devotees Hare Krishna All glories to Shri Shri Gun Shri Gauranga All glories to Srila Prabhupada Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So welcome everyone to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. So this morning we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, entitled Conversation Between Manu and Kadama, text 24. Navai jatu mrishaiva syat prajajaksha madahanam bhavad videshu atitaram mai sangri bitatmanam navai jatu mrishaiva syat prajajaksha madahanam bhavad videshu atitaram mai sangri bitatmanam navai jatu mrishaiva syat prajajaksha madahanam bhavad videshu atitaram mai sangri pitatmanam mai sangri pitatmanam. Ladies. Yakshamadanam bhavad videshu atitaram mai sangri pitatmanam navai jatum rishaiva syat prajakshak marapana bhavad videshu atitaram mai sangri pitatmanam na, not, vai, indeed, jatu, ever, mrisha, useless, eva, only, shat, it may be, praja, of the living entities, adyaksha, O leader, mat ahanam, worship of me, bhavat videshu, under persons like you, atitaram, entirely, mai, on me, sangripita, are fixed, atmanam, of those whose minds. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The Lord continued, my dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you, who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Please repeat. The Lord continued. My dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Purport. Even if he has some desires, one engaged in the service of the Lord is never frustrated. Those engaged in his service are called sakama and akama. Those who approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead with desires for material enjoyment are called sakama, and those devotees who have no material desires for sense gratification but serve the Supreme Lord out of spontaneous love for him are called akama. Sakama devotees are divided into 4 classes: those in distress, those in need of money, the inquisitive, and the wise. Someone worships the Supreme Lord because of bodily or mental distress. Someone else worships the Supreme Lord because he is in need of money. Someone else worships the Lord out of inquisitiveness to know him as he is. And someone wants to know the Lord as a philosopher can know him by the research work of his wisdom. There is no frustration for any of these 4 classes of men. Each is endowed with the desired result of his worship. Translation. The Lord continued, My dear Rishi, O leader of the living entities, for those who serve me in devotion by worshipping me, especially persons like you who have given up everything unto me, there is never any question of frustration. Om Gyana Chmandasha Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshum Malatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karati Vachalam Bhangam Langate Gurim Yat Kripatam Maham Vandi Shri Gurum Dinataranam Nastar Presha Bhadrashun Nichum Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttam Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. So here the Lord Krishna is preaching to Kadama Muni. So some key words here in this verse is that he addresses Kadama Muni, dear Rishi, leader of the living entities. So, in other words, Kadama Muni he's a great elevated soul, an acharya. So he is a leader of living entities because he knows the absolute truth. He knows the science of God, and he's able, like an acharya, he's able to lead other living entities on the right path, back home, back to Godhead. So Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita that says, Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad devetaro janasayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvatate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So, an acharya like Kadama Muni, he leads by his own example because he's fully Krishna conscious, fully in love with Krishna. He's able to inspire many living entities to come to this platform of worshipping Krishna in love, with devotion. We cannot inspire others to the platform of devotional service to Krishna if we don't have any devotion ourselves, if we don't have any understanding of the transcendental path, if we're not purified, if we're still impure, we have so many impurities in our heart, how can we inspire other people to come to this platform of purity, pure devotional service? So some other important words here, key words, is that the Lord is stating that Kadamba Muni is he's worshipping Krishna in devotion, pure devotion, and that he has given up everything for Krishna. So the Lord is stating that such a person who's worshipping me in pure devotion and has given up everything for the pleasure of the Lord, all his thoughts, words and actions, there is no question of frustration. So we experience that in this material world, that if we fully surrender to Krishna and fully engage in loving devotional service to Krishna, all our anxieties and frustrations go away. Or at least they are greatly reduced. Like Srila Prabhupada says, when you turn the fan off, it may not stop straight away, but after some time it comes to a stop. So the same applies to us when we engage in loving devotional service to Krishna. Those frustrations or those material desires in our heart may still be there, but in time they are gradually purified and they come to a stop. Srila Prabhupada was saying in one lecture that if we just hear this philosophy sincerely and attentively, day after day, even if we don't understand this philosophy, we will become gradually completely purified, and we will become pious, even if we don't understand. What to speak if we understand this philosophy, how much we can become fully purified and fully Krishna conscious. But it's interesting that Srila Prabhupada says in the first line of the purport, what to speak of pure devotees like Kadamba Muni, who have no material desire. Well, he has a material desire, but obviously is very elevated. He's a very great rishi. He has a desire to get married, but he's, as we understand in the story, he's marrying, Devahuti, one of the greatest devotees in the universe of all time. And, it's no ordinary marriage, because they have, is it 9 daughters? 9 daughters, but then they have one son, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Kapila Muni. So, what an amazing marriage! What elevated souls they must be, Kadamba Muni and Devahuti, to have the great fortune of having the Supreme Lord as their son. But Srila Prabhupada says here, even if we have some desires, if one is engaged simply in the service of the Lord, then he's never frustrated. So that's very interesting, because many people are sakama devotees. Srila Prabhupada mentions the two types of people engaged in Krishna service, sakama and akama. Akama means those who have no material desires. They just want to serve Krishna out of pure love and to please the Lord and to spread the Lord's glories and to bring other people to the lotus feet of the Lord. Whereas sakama are those who worship Krishna and serve Krishna, but they have desires, like Prabhupada explains here, the 4 classes, Chatur Vida Vijanti Mam Jana Sukritino Jana, that Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, he says that 4 types of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. Those who are wanting to get free from material distress, those who are searching for wealth, those who are inquisitive, and those who are searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. But even these 4 classes, even though they're serving the Lord with material desires, they can still be free from frustration. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to that verse, 716, the verse I just quoted, that even though many devotees come to Krishna consciousness, and most of us probably fall into these categories, that we came to Krishna consciousness because we wanted to be free from distress, or we're maybe searching for some material gain, or we're inquisitive, or we just want to know about the absolute truth. Is there a God? Who is God? What's our relationship? But Srila Prabhupada says, by performing devotional service even with these material desires, in the association of devotees and getting the association of devotees and serving them, serving pure devotees, then we gradually become purified of these material desires and we come to the platform of pure devotional service, where we only want to serve Krishna without gaining anything in return, with no desires for name, fame, adoration, profit, distinction, followers. Srila Prabhupada quotes the verse, Anyabhilasata sunyam jnana kamadnyanavritam anakulena krishnanyo silanam bhakta uttama. That pure devotional service must be service rendered to Krishna favourably, without material desires for fruitive gains or mental speculation. Such service is called pure devotional service. So that verse gives the definition of pure devotional service. So this is the, although anyone who turns to God is good, better than the gross materialists who simply constantly denying God through their life, denying the existence of God. Like Srila Prabhupada, when he went to London, first went to London, he said, some of you are saying there is no God, some of you are saying that everyone is God except Krishna, and some of you are saying that God is dead. And Srila Prabhupada said, I've come to kick out all this nonsense and teach that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So better than these gross materialists, Prabhupada in many of his lectures, he says they're very, in Kali Yuga, very dull. Dull intelligence, dull brain, because of their sinful activities, gross sinful activities of meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. Their intelligence is covered over, and they cannot even understand, what to speak of understanding the Supreme Lord or accepting His supreme position and their eternal relationship with Him. They cannot even understand themselves as a spirit soul separate from this material body. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, that some people look on the soul as amazing, some people hear about the soul as amazing, some people describe the soul as amazing, but others, even after hearing about the soul, they cannot even understand the soul at all. So there's many, many gross materialists, but here we're hearing about those who are pious and they worship the Lord, but for material desires. So these people are considered pious, and it's considered a stepping stone on the path to pure devotional service. And it's like a man who's working in the field and is very dirty. When he comes to have a shower, you can't expect that he's going to be clean straight away. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, we may have many material desires and dirty things of greed and lust and anger and envy in our heart. But it's like if we place ourselves in the purifying process, the shower of Krishna consciousness, the cleansing process, by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Regularly hearing this philosophy, associating with devotees, living in a holy place, worshipping the deities, taking prasadam, doing so many wonderful services that the devotees do, preaching Krishna consciousness. All these activities are very, very purifying, and we can experience that the process actually works. It's not just dry theory, but we can feel that we're making advancement, we're becoming purified, we're becoming ecstatic, we're becoming happy, we're becoming free from all material anxieties, free from the frustrations of the material world. Everyone is frustrated on the material platform. There's no question of happiness, as Srila Prabhupada says, even from the tiny ant to Lord Brahma. No one is happy in the material world unless they're engaged in Krishna consciousness. So everyone's in anxiety and frustration. Prabhupada says that the materialistic life is pavaga. It's hard work. People are working very hard and they sweat or they foam at the mouth like a horse. You know, when a horse works hard, when it runs a lot, it's foaming at the mouth. So working hard, sweating, foaming at the mouth, frustration, fear and death. That is the path of pavaga, the path of material existence. But the path of Krishna consciousness, exemplified by great souls like Kadama Muni, giving up everything for Krishna, worshipping Krishna in pure devotion. This is the path of apavaga, liberation, where even though we're situated in a material body with a material mind and material senses, we can always be on the liberated platform of pure devotional service. There's that verse that states that, I can't remember the Sanskrit, a living entity has engaged his mind, words and senses in the service of the Lord is considered a liberated soul, even while living in this material world, in this material body. So having this material body is not an impediment for one in Krishna consciousness. It's a wonderful, wonderful bargain, getting this human form of life in which we can make a solution to all the problems of material existence. Srila Prabhupada says the problems are this repeated birth, death, old age and disease in this material world. And forgetting Krishna. This is the real disease, forgetting Krishna, forgetting our eternal relationship with Krishna. We've forgotten for millions of lifetimes. And now in this one lifetime, we're so fortunate that we have the opportunity to engage in pure devotional service. Can rise even above this platform of serving Krishna to fulfill material desires, but we can be situated 24 hours a day on the platform of pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada's given us everything, this wonderful process, morning and evening program, service through the day, the sandwich program, right? If you have a nice sandwich and you wrap it up nicely, it doesn't fall apart. So similarly, the sandwich program, if we attend as much of the morning program as we can, evening program, we're serving Krishna as much as we can through the day purely, then we can stay fixed and enlivened and enthusiastic and on the pure platform in Krishna consciousness. And we can even be surrounded by the hellish attractions of Kali Yuga, but we can remain unaffected. As Srila Prabhupada says, the lotus in the water, you can see the lotuses down the lake there. The flowers above the water, it's not wet, even though it's in the water. It's not wet. Or as Lord Jesus said, be in the world but not of the world. You may be living in the world, but the devotee's consciousness is always on the spiritual platform, always meditating on Krishna, meditating on the beautiful form, pastimes, names, qualities of the Lord. Just like before we sang the song Jai Radha Madhava. All glories to Krishna, the lover of Radharani. They're always sporting in their amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivari Dari. Krishna's the lover of the gopis. He's the lifter of Govardhana hill. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. He's the darling of the Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and the residents of Vrindavan. Yamuna Tiravanachari. He's always playing his flute on the banks of Yamuna, attracting all living entities. So we can meditate on the Lord's wonderful pastimes through these songs, through the pastimes of the Lord in Krishna book and through his instructions. And this way we can engage all our senses in Krishna conscious activity. Like the perfect example Prabhupada would give is Maharaj Ambarish, that he always engaged his senses fully in the Lord's service. Savai mana, savai Krishna mana padara bindiyo. That he always engaged his tongue in chanting Hare Krishna, preaching Krishna consciousness. His eyes seeing the beautiful deity forms of the Lord, his ears and hearing the philosophy from the Lord and his pure devotees, hearing the Lord's pastimes, his tongue to chant Hare Krishna and taste the remnants of Krishna Prasadam, his nose and smelling the beautiful flowers and incense offered to the Lord, his legs and walking to the temples of the Lord, sense of touch and touching the bodies of the devotees, or very fortunate pujaris touching the bodies of the deity forms of the Lord. So we can't imitate these great souls, but we can follow in their footsteps by taking their instructions to heart and taking advantage of everything that the Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada and all his disciples have given us in this wonderful Krishna consciousness movement. We have the opportunity to be 24 hours a day in Krishna conscious, 24 hours a day in Krishna service, engaged. Even while we're sleeping, if we're fully engaged in service to Krishna, many devotees, they have dreams of service, that they're serving Krishna, or they may have dreams of Prabhupada or Krishna. Now we have these little Prabhupada boxes with all of Prabhupada's lectures and bhajans. You can have that playing all night round while you're sleeping. Even Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was staying in one of his disciples' houses, Grihastha disciples, and he said they were having many arguments, but then they started playing Prabhupada 24 hours a day, like bhajans and lectures. And he said after they started playing Prabhupada round the clock, then there was no more arguments. And he said it was such a Krishna conscious atmosphere, he felt it was almost too much for him. It was so Krishna conscious. So we should always be thinking of Krishna, always engaged in his service, not letting a moment go by. Because as Srila Prabhupada says, a moment you cannot buy back for millions of dollars. A moment wasted, not in Krishna consciousness, is forever lost. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that Tasmat Saveshu Kaleshu Mama Nushmana Yujita. Therefore, Arjuna should always think of me in the form of Krishna, at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So we have to practice, always engaging externally in Krishna service, so many varieties of services, whether it's farm work or worshipping the deities, cooking for the Lord, making flower garlands, sweeping the temple room floor, going out preaching. At the same time, always think internally of Krishna, praying to Krishna internally, thinking of Krishna's qualities, pastimes, forms, names, thinking how to spread Krishna consciousness, how to bring other people to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And of course, we may not be totally purified, we may still have material desires and attachments in our heart, and this is okay. Once Tamal Krishna Maharaj was giving a lecture to all his disciples, and he was saying that to any of you, come to the temple and pray to the deities that your children may get a good education, or that they become free from their troubles in life or their sicknesses. And no one was putting their hand up, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj was saying, no, I don't believe any of you, I'm sure all of you are coming to the temple and praying sometimes, maybe not all the time, but sometimes for these things. And then he said, it's not bad, it's good. Better you pray to Krishna for these things than go to the demigods. Because there's the verse in the Bhagavatam, Akama Savakama Va Moksha Kama Dharadi tirvena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one has no material desires or has all material desires, or one is desiring liberation, one should by all means with great determination serve and worship Krishna. So it's not a cheap thing to be totally on the platform of pure devotional service. So better if we have some material desires to fulfill, like Kadama Muni here, he wanted to get married, have a suitable wife, then better we come with his desires in front of the lotus feet of their lordships, and these desires, the Lord will fulfill these desires, and ultimately He will purify us of all these desires and bring us to the platform where we're simply only interested in worshipping Him and serving Him and spreading His glories with pure devotion. And we have to share this wonderful good fortune. We've become so happy and so free from all anxieties and frustrations. Not just happy, but the devotees are ecstatic. 24 hours a day, we're ecstatically serving the Lord just by the simple process of chanting, dancing, feasting, engaging in humble services. So we have to give this Krishna consciousness to others. We were just like everyone else, like floundering in the material world, not having any idea of the real purpose or goal of life. Somehow or other, we got the mercy of the devotees. The devotees came into our life. They gave us a book. They gave us some prasadam. We saw them chanting in the streets, and we became attached. We got more association with devotees. Somehow or other, we wound up here. We joined this wonderful Krishna consciousness movement. So we have to give as much as possible. This is a preaching movement, the Sankirtan movement. We have to give this opportunity to all living entities where they can have this opportunity to make a solution to all their problems of life, come to this platform gradually of their eternal pure devotion, which they all have in their hearts. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema Sajjaka Banaya. Pure love for Krishna is within the hearts of all living entities, cannot be taken away. When one hears and chants about Krishna, that love for Krishna naturally, gradually comes out. So we have to give all other living entities as much as possible that chance to come to this platform. And many people, as we see here, many people are coming all the time, and they're very eager to hear this philosophy, very eager to join in kirtans, to take prasadam, to serve. As many people are looking for such a wonderful spiritual alternative to the material frustrations of this world. But unless we provide the opportunity, go out and spread this Krishna consciousness, how will they? Many people, they will not just come to the temple of their own volition. We have to take the temple out to them, to the streets. And we may meet with opposition. There's many, very materialistic people who don't appreciate what we're trying to give, this wonderful Krishna conscious process. And sometimes we may get harassed by, even the authorities, the law enforcement, security, or the council, or the police. Many devotees have gone out for preaching and had these experiences, just like maybe not so much now, because I think the establishment is starting to appreciate the Hare Krishna movement for all the wonderful things we're doing in society. But in the early days, many devotees had problems with the going out preaching Krishna consciousness, and even getting pulled up by the council and police that you cannot do this activity of chant in the streets and distribute these books, and they would give devotees fines. And the devotees, Krishna Rupa Mataji knows because she was there in the early days, and they would give devotees fines. In Melbourne, I think they had $10,000 worth of fines. But because the devotees gave false names, they never had to pay the fines. Samsara, Devanala, Lidaloka, Troyanaya, Bengali. So at one point the police came to the temple, and I think it was Mangalati time. Were you there? Yeah. So this local sergeant, heavy sergeant apparently came, and they pushed the door in at Mangalati. Devotees about to start Mangalati. And he lined up all the devotees against the wall. Okay, which one of you is Samsara? Which one's Devanala? Which one's Leelaloka? Which one's Samosa? Because the devotees are giving all these false names. So then none of the devotees put their hands up. But I heard one devotee put his hand up to cover for all the devotees. Is that right? Can't remember, yeah. But anyway, the devotees never had to pay the fines, so... And I remember going to the Sydney show many years. We did it many years in a row, and security guards would catch us from time to time, kick us out, say you can't sell your books here. And they'd walk us to the gate, but then we'd have our exit stamp on our wrist, so we just walk around the other side and come back to the books and keep working. And sometimes I get called by the police, take down to the police station at the showground, and they'd say, okay, you can't come again today. So then I'd just come, they didn't say tomorrow, so I'd come back the next day. So, we have to be fearless in spreading Krishna consciousness. There will always be opposition. Prabhupada said the opposition is a sign that we're having success in spreading Krishna consciousness. There's people out there who are very demoniac and unfavorable and are always trying to stop the spread of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. So we shouldn't be surprised, especially in Kali Yuga. But still, at the same time, there's many people out there who are very, very interested, very ripe for Krishna consciousness. Just like so many people here coming every day who are very ripe for Krishna consciousness. And if we preach enough, then and spread this mercy, spread the Sankirtan movement enough, people will gradually come. The more they meet devotees, the more they hear the holy name, the more they get prasadam. Just like my spiritual master again, Tamal Krishna Goswami, he would go with Vishwajan Swami with the Radha Damodar bus party. They would go to universities, preach on the campuses to the students, and Vishwajan Swami was doing kirtan for hours, and the devotees distributing prasadam. Tamal Krishna Maharaj would walk around and meet groups of people, and he would qualify them for how interested they were in Krishna consciousness by saying, so how do you like our prasadam? How do you like our food? And how do you like the chanting? And if they said, it's okay, he would think, well, they're not so right for preaching to. But if you met groups of people and they said, well, yeah, it's fantastic, that your food is wonderful, and I love the music, I love the kirtan, then he would think, these people are very right for preaching to, and he would preach to them and make them devotees. And there was one devotee, he told a story that he was at university going every day, and he saw this monk like chanting at the beginning of the day, when he first went onto the campus at 9 o'clock in the morning. And he came back at the end of the day, and that same monk in his saffron robes was still doing kirtan there. Been all day doing kirtan. And then the next day he came and the same monk was there, and then there was another brahmachari with him. And then after a few days he got a flyer from them for the temple. And finally he went to the temple, and he was asking, so who was that monk who was chanting there on the campus? And then he had another monk with him, and the devotee said, that was Tamal Krishna Goswami. So just even one devotee going out, like chanting in the streets, like sometimes Garuda Prabhu, he's chanting by himself, like going out in the streets. Sometimes I run into him and I join him, because he's got no one else there with him. And that's having a huge effect, just one devotee going around doing kirtan and one devotee going out distributing books. We can't underestimate the potency of spreading the Sankirtan movement. And so we have to attract people. Some people may but not be attracted to hearing the philosophy. So we have prasadam, we have kirtan, we have wonderful festivals, so many wonderful devotees. People can come and meet. Like in the early days, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, again, he was asking Srila Prabhupada, so he was just on the point of maybe joining, and he said to Srila Prabhupada, so what is the spiritual world like? And in those days, all the people coming to Krishna consciousness, the new devotees, they were afraid they might get drafted to the Vietnam War. So Prabhupada knew this, that they didn't want to go to war. So he said, in the spiritual world, there's no draft boards. You won't get drafted to a war. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, sounds very nice, I'll join. I don't want to go to war. So we have to attract people whatever way we can to Krishna consciousness. And maybe it's just by being friendly to them, being kind to them, being nice to them, giving our time to them, and going out of our way to ask them how we can help them, especially people who come to the farm. Maybe they're not coming to this program at the temple, but we can befriend them, make friends with them, talk to them, serve them prasadam, ask them if there's anything they need, if there's anything they don't have. So in this way, because in the material world, people don't have many friends. Not many people are really caring for people in the material world. People can live in the bigger cities, but they feel very lonely because no one really cares for them. No one really goes out of their way to help each other. But the devotees are the real friends because they're not only giving spiritual knowledge, guiding people spiritually, and giving people the chance to take up Krishna consciousness, but even we befriend people and give our time on the material platform. So, just as we've received this wonderful fortune to come to this platform of pure devotional service, just like Kadamba Muni, he's on this platform of pure devotion, even though he has some material desires, and those desires are gradually purified. But at the same time, even though he desired a suitable wife, he's no ordinary personality. He's a very elevated soul. To be in the pages of the Bhagavatam, you can understand he's a very, very elevated soul. As the Lord says here again, leader of the living entities. No ordinary person can be a leader. And a real leader is a spiritual leader. So he's a great spiritual leader, as we said before, because he can inspire millions of living entities to come to Krishna consciousness. So we can follow in the footsteps of such great souls and always see how we can be fully engaged in Krishna service ourselves, and at the same time inspire others and spread Krishna consciousness to bring other people to Krishna consciousness as much as possible. So does anyone have any questions or comments? You have a microphone. So, yes, Padma Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thanks for the class. First a comment, then a question. I really like the analogy. Working in a farm and you get dirty and you go home and it takes a while to get clean, and that's what it's like within Krishna consciousness. And that's a really important point. We see so many devotees come into Krishna consciousness and they may only give it 6 months or a year, maybe 2 years, but some problems may arise, some anarthas may come up and they leave Krishna consciousness. But you've got to have the willpower, the determination to go on, because it's not an overnight thing for most people. Prabhupada did say in Melbourne that time you can achieve Krishna consciousness within a second. But if we endure and follow the process, the results will come, but we've just got to be very patient. I found that's something what I've found within my own Krishna consciousness over the years. So like, I really like that. And now the question, not taking Krishna consciousness cheaply, you said at some stage, and you read in Canto 6, the pastimes of Ajamil, and he chanted Narayan once, and he gets, back to liberated, back to Godhead. Do you want to comment on that a little bit? It's not taking Krishna consciousness so cheaply, because you do see in the world, people may say, like, I'm just going to wait till I'm an old man, and I'm going to get serious about my Krishna consciousness. I'm young, I'm going to enjoy now. I'm going to chant one mantra, and I'm going to go back to Krishna. But Krishna isn't that cheap. Could you comment on that, please?
Yes, well, we shouldn't think that, like Srila Prabhupada said, chanted my 16 rounds, and then he put his beads down and said, now I can do any goddamn business, on any goddamn thing I like. So we shouldn't think, well, I've done so much devotional service for many years, I've chanted Hare Krishna, now I'll just go out and enjoy the material world, do whatever I like, let my senses run free, and Krishna's going to bring me back one day, and then I'll just go back to Godhead. It's not it's not like that. We can't, we shouldn't take advantage of the mercy of Krishna and his devotees, and think that it's, as you say, such a cheap process. It may take many lifetimes, and even if we sincerely stick to Krishna consciousness in this one lifetime, then we may have to come back for another birth. Who knows? But that's all right, because Krishna says those who are unsuccessful after long practice, in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they're born into a family of devotees in their next life. And even those who fall away after short practice, they're guaranteed of taking birth in rich aristocratic family. But yeah, it's there's no guarantee if we leave Krishna consciousness, where we're going to end up, what's going to happen to us, where we go to in our next life if we stop practicing Krishna consciousness. Of course, Ajamil's a wonderful example that he did practice Krishna consciousness when he was young, but because he became attracted to the prostitute and gave up all his good qualities and gave up all his Krishna consciousness and became thief and rogue, drunkard. But it does show at the same time that because of his previous Krishna consciousness, Krishna brought him back, but we can't rely on that. And we should also remember our past before coming to Krishna consciousness, that we were never happy, we were never satisfied, we were always frustrated. And why go back to that again? It's going to be the same. It's not going to be any different. And, devotees experience that, if they leave Krishna consciousness, they can't really fit into the material world because they've already achieved the higher taste. So it's difficult for them to really so-called enjoy in the material world. So, yeah, it's not a cheap process. It's not that we can just think, I'll chant, and we have to be very attentive in our chanting and our service. Always be thinking of Krishna, praying to Krishna, being humble, developing all the good qualities. Of course, these good qualities come automatically when one takes to devotional service gradually. But it's a difficult path at the same time. It's, may take a whole lifetime, or may take, as you said, it may take a moment to be Krishna conscious, or it may take, Srila Prabhupada says, many, many lifetimes. And what was your first point again?
It was just a comment on the farmer coming home, washing all the dirt off him, and I was just making the point that, you just have to be patient in Krishna consciousness, and obviously steadiness and enthusiasm will come, but sometimes it may take just a little bit longer, so just have the determination to stick around and, like Rupa Goswami says, that accept the things favourable for Krishna consciousness, patience, determination,
confidence, following the rules and regulations, rejecting things unfavorable for Krishna consciousness, accepting the favorable things. So yeah, patience, like the example that lady, when she gets married, she can't expect to have a baby straight away. She has to wait 9 months, at least. So yes, we have to be very patient, because we may think, well, I've been practicing Krishna consciousness for many years and still I'm not feeling any love for Krishna, any attachment for this process. But it may take, it's not a cheap thing, it may take many, many years, many, many lifetimes. But if we keep practicing, we can gradually experience we're becoming more attached to this process, more attached to hearing the pastimes of Krishna, more attached to serving the Lord and spreading Krishna's glories. Okay, anyone have any other questions or comments? One more and then we'll have to finish for Prasadam. Microphone. Devotees have to hear on YouTube who are not here.
That's why when I was at your place the other day, I said we needed this, because I couldn't hear all the talk. What you were saying about, everything you do, whatever, to help people to become to Krishna consciousness. Well, I had the temple in Darwin for 10 years, that house. And so I used to always have Prabhupada playing on the television. I put Prabhupada lecture on the television. And I never locked the door. And the people in the street, they could hear it. I always thought, there, let them hear. And one day, my friend who was a yoga teacher, she came there and she wanted me to do some catering. And she said, I came to your house. She knew I was a devotee, but she didn't really know what it meant, right? And she said, I came to your house to see you. And she said, the television was on and your spiritual master was speaking. So I sat down and I watched it. And then she said to me, then she came and told me and asked me more, and then I told her what we do. We get up at so early in the morning, we have a whole morning program and all the rest of it, right? So for me, the comment is that when you go on the street, don't be afraid to dress like a devotee, no matter where you're going, right? You'd be surprised at how many people, you see people. I went to the mall the other day, and when I see ladies in nice dresses, I say, that dress looks really beautiful on you, and that color suits you. And they go, oh, you've made my day. And then they say, and you have nice clothes on too. And what do you do? And then I say, I'm a Hare Krishna. Oh yes, I've heard about them. Or if they'd never heard about it, I tell them about our farm. And sometimes people come, So all day long we can talk about Krishna, be an example. And I'll just tell you another little example, because when I went to Darwin, I used to live here live here on the farm for 15 years. And I went to Darwin to live with all my family. And the people in town, they said to the devotees, where's that lady that wears those beautiful saris? Where has she gone? And the devotee, they told him that I'd gone to Darwin. So I came down on the bus. We had a bus, big one, bigger than you. And we came down for a festival. And I'd driven a long time. And then when we got here, I said to the kids, you go to the park. And I will just take a rest, because I've been driving for hours, right? And so I had a rest, and I got up, and I had my sari on and all. So you see how important it is. And I'm very, I would say, not in a puffed up way, but I'm very proud to be Prabhupada's representative. And if you go out there and you think that way, then Krishna will give you so many opportunities. And every day I make new friends. Right?
Thank you so much for your experience, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Srila
you.
Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare.